I agree. I don't. Something good. Oh, no. I was trying. I'll be like, look, here's this video. Watch that before you ask me any questions. That's gonna be we're gonna do the master classes. Done for the first month. All right, you can start whenever you want.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
I mean, it's 9 o'clock. So if they come in, they come in. This is
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and do this.
actually less might be
Close up
more.
some of yeah, let's do this. I'll close up some of my screens and all right, let's go ahead and share screen. All right. All right. Great. Let me see what we've got here for attendance. If I go over here to people. No, just got a handful of people. We got a lot of people invited. So good news is this is being recorded. All right. So welcome everyone. My name is Mark Petrucci. I'm with Applied Software. So I'm going to be handling the training for Autodesk BIM Collaborate Pro. Many of you have been using, or some of you may have been using the new or the older platform called BIM 360. So today we're going to go through the new platform and I'm going to show you some of the differences in how to set up a project in the new platform. It's important to understand the new platform because pretty much everything else is going that way. I've taught BIM 360 since 2014, but I've not had to teach a BIM 360 class probably in the last 2 years, even before COVID. Fewer and fewer projects required us to start them in BIM 360. So regardless whether you have to access an older BIM 360 project, or I say older, maybe you've got some current projects in BIM 360, or you're going to access projects on the new platform, you're still going to go to the same place, acc.autodesk.com. ACC stands for Autodesk Construction Cloud. And if you hit enter, you will be prompted to put in your email address and password, just like you did in the BIM 360 environment. Now, to kind of clear up some terminology here, we are in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. And the Autodesk Construction Cloud consists of two platforms. There's the BIM 360 platform, and then there's what they call the unified platform. That's the newer version of BIM 360, okay? The two really don't talk to each other. Now, in account admin training, we go through how to set up a project, invite people, maybe assign them to a company. When you do that in the Construction Cloud, that's available to both BIM 360 and the unified platform. Now, the unified platform, some people will call it ACC for short, the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Technically, that's not correct because ACC includes both BIM 360 and the unified. But just because I think that people are just used to calling it ACC, I'll refer to it that way. But you'll notice here with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, down here, you can see I got access to both BIM 360 projects. And then down here, which looks like a blue ball with white rubber bands around it, that is the newer platform. What I tell people is think of the Autodesk Construction Cloud like Verizon Wireless. That's the Construction Cloud. Now, to access the Construction Cloud is the same way you access Verizon Wireless. You can use an Apple iPhone or you can use an Android phone. Apple and Android pretty much do the same thing. They both make phone calls, they both check email, they both, play games, and they both connect to Verizon. Well, same thing here. Both BIM 360 and the unified platform, both of them, you create a project on there, you upload files, you do whatever work you need to on those files, but they're on two different devices or two different platforms. And so you'll notice when we come here, you can access either platform projects on either platform. So today we're going to focus on account administration. So if I come up here, if you are an account admin, then you will see account administration up here. If you don't see it, that means you're not. And if you need to be, then you'll have to follow up with somebody there to give you permission to be an account admin. If you're not going to be an account admin and you don't, care to watch this, you want to maybe just check emails or whatever, be my guest. But for anybody who's going to be an account admin, please go ahead and watch what I'm doing here. Because I'm going through all account admin stuff here and project admin, you guys really can't follow along and do all the picks and clicks because, if I create a project, I don't want each of you creating a project. So a lot of this is just going to be follow along. When we get to the portion where we have to create a Revit project up in the cloud, then we'll do that together. But for the most part, I am now inside of account admin. And you'll notice over here on the right, because I'm invited as an account admin to other companies' accounts, I have a list of all the companies that I belong to. And so in this case here, I'll just scroll down or scroll up here, BDG right here, BDG Architects. So when I went in here, I quickly saw just how many projects you had in BIM 360. Which is great because then you understand really the overall concepts dealing with having your Revit models in the cloud. So that won't be new for you. The interface will be a little different, but as far as the ideas, it pretty much is the same. You'll notice over here under account admin, the first place I come to is projects. But before we create a project, let me come down here to members. So all the members that you created when you were in BIM 360, they exist here because this is part of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. What I recommend people do is when you have to invite people to a project, while you can invite them directly in the project, minimize this, it's better to invite them to your account first. Then you invite them to a project. And I'll show you why. Because when you invite somebody to your account first, and I'll go ahead and I'll pick Alberto. And when I pick his name, if I come over here, you'll notice it's got his company name, his role, his access level, and then right here it says where he's getting his BIM Collaborate license from. Now, for Alberto, it says external. So that tells me he's getting a license. He has a license from his own company. Because you invited him, he now is bringing his license with him. But if I come over to, let's pick another person here. I'll pick Avery. When I pick Avery, it says BDG right here, Ben. If I pick Ben, well, Ben says he's external too. Okay, so I'll come over here and I'll pick Basili. Right over here, you'll notice that Basili does not have a subscription. I could come over here and assign a subscription if there was one available. Now, for those of you who assign subscriptions, if you come here to manage.autodesk.com, if this is how you assign subscriptions, this still works, but you don't have to do that. Come over here to buy product. And then here's my BIM Collaborate Pro. And I can come over here and I can assign people a license this way. And that works, but you don't have to do that because this is tied directly to this Autodesk Construction Cloud. That right here, if I have a license available, I can then assign it to whoever is the current person right up here. So at the account level, you invite people here. You can verify that they have a subscription. And if they don't, you can assign them one. The other thing that we want to do is we want to make sure, and I'm glad to see here, that the majority of your people here have been assigned to a company, and a majority of them have a default role assigned to them. I would encourage you to just kind of maintain this and go through it. And for those people who don't have a company and a role, to go ahead and assign them, at least assign them to a company. Role is highly recommended. And just like this was in the BIM 360 environment, same rules apply. You can only assign them to one company, and you can only assign them one role at the account level. And if I look, I can see all the default roles that you guys have. And so this person here, Basile, is assigned the architectural role. So pretty much same workflow. But a big difference here is when you invite people. When you go to add members to your account, in the BIM 360 environment, when we added multiple people, we had to do that with a Excel spreadsheet. Whereas here, I could simply just copy and paste a list of email addresses. So for example, I'll just grab a handful of these people, which may already be members, but all I have to do is just go over here and just copy and paste. And I can invite all these people at once to my account. Now, when I do this, good idea to assign them to a company and then assign them a default role. Now, let's say that most of these people are architects, but a few might be an engineer or a project manager. Make them all architects and then go back to those individuals and then just switch it out. You know, if you want to do an import 2 different times, one time you do just the architect, the other time you do a project manager, you can do that. You know, it pretty much just gets you to the same place. When I do this, when I invite people, then I just have to come down here and decide whether I'm going to make them an account administrator or an executive. Okay, now if these people are all already invited to your project, you know it's going to like give me a message. I'm not going to invite them right now, but I will tell you that when you invite new people, most of the time they're not going to be an account administrator and an executive. They won't be an executive. If you want to make them an executive means you have access to dashboards that other people don't get access to. At the account level, you can bring up a dashboard that gives you information across multiple projects. People who are not executive, the only dashboards they have are within each project. And so executives can kind of get better information across multiple projects. For now, I'm going to hit cancel. I'm not going to bother importing anybody right now. But that's it for managing members or adding members here. If I come back up here to projects, now over here, you'll notice that I've got 2 tabs. It's really easy to miss. I got my active projects and I have my archive projects. So your archive projects means that they're not visible to anybody. Even if you're a member, once you archive a project and I come up here, this drop-down list will not show any of those projects that are archived. If I come over to active, you can pick on any project here. And if you want, on the right-hand side, you'll see it says archive projects. It's a little different than in the BIM 360. In BIM 360, you have to pick on the project and then it opens up a card and you go down there and you click inactive and archived. The only option you have here is archived. If I select create project, all right, so I'll put in a project name. I'm going to call this one BDG HQ2. That's going to be my project name. Project number, I'll put in here 234. Because I can search by project number, searching only works with project name. So similar to what you guys are doing there, I'll put in the project number here. If you are only invited to one account, then that will be placed on your account. But as you can see, I'm invited to other accounts. So just in case you are invited, just verify you're creating this on your account. Project type, very similar to BIM 360. You can come in here and just search for it or type in part of the name. And I'm going to say this is an office to a new headquarters. Now, this is very different from BIM 360. So in BIM 360, when we create a project, we can actually use a previous project as a template. We can't do that here in this new platform. In this platform, for us to create a new project, we actually need an official project template. So I will show you that here in just a few minutes. But for now, this is blank, so I'll leave that blank. the address, the time zone, all this other information, we can change this later. So for now, I just want to put in the basics: project name, the account, and the project type. And then I'll hit create project. When I did this in the BIM 360 world, then it would switch me, it'll show me my project name, it'll say project admin, and then over here it'll have the project name, which is going to be my headquarters, my HQ2. And when I do this, that's going to be similar. So right up here it says project admin, here's my project. It shows me as a member. Now, because I created this project, all right, it added me as a member, as a project admin, and I could take a look at my settings here, and I realize it's got me in, there's BDG, so maybe I'll come in here and I'll put in applied software. And you see that when I type in a new company name, I can actually add it from here. So I assign the correct company name for me. Come down here for role. I can pick whatever my default role might be. For admins, it's not as important, but for everybody else, we should work with role, and it's critical when we talk about the template file. Here's my project level. I could be a normal member, or I could be an administrator. And down here, if you remember in the BIM 360 environment, when you created a new project, you had to activate document management. You had to activate design collaboration. Well, we don't do that here in the new platform. So this new project we created on this platform, I've already have a license of docs. So I'm just going to say, turn that on. That's just for me to use. And I'll turn on design collaboration and maybe model coordination. So I don't really activate a service anymore in this new platform. When you get a license, a subscription assigned to you, you're bringing those services with you. And now it's up to the project admin to say, hey, on this project, Mark gets to use design collaboration. But on the next project, I may turn it off for me, but for Joe, I'll turn it back on. So you can control just which modules people have access to use. Now, Insight is your dashboards. So that's always on. And down here, you can see other products that you can also activate if you purchase them: takeoff, build, and cost management. Okay, real quick, docs, design, and model coordination. If you come up here now, you'll see docs, design, model coordination. If you happen to turn off model coordination here, come back up here, you're going to see it's going to disappear in just a second. Let me hit refresh. There it is. It's gone now. So if you invite them to a project and they said they can't see docs or they can't see design collaboration, you just got to just turn that on for them. If I come over here to companies, since I just created applied software, you see it show up here. And if I select on it, I can see some general information, but you notice I can't edit anything here. That's one thing that's missing. If I need to edit anything in here for a company, then I need to go back to BIM 360, believe it or not, to fix that. And I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. But I'm going to come back over here to members, and I'm here. Let me come down here to settings. Sorry. Under settings, this is where I can change information about the project. If I want to change the project number, project name, whatever, I can do that. Do it down here too. Put in the address, 123 Main Street here. I'll just type that in, and I'll just pick the first one here. Oops, let's not do that. I'll leave it. That's fine. You can select the start date and end date. It's not critical. For Autodesk Build, it uses the start and end date, but for design collaboration, docs, we don't need that. And then down here, you can see other information that you can edit. So I'll go ahead and I'll save that. You'll notice locations. Locations is optional. With locations, when you start tracking issues, and it will prompt you for there's a field that you can fill in the location. if you want to pre-populate location, you can do that. And if I come in here and I say add a sub-location, maybe I'll put in here floor 1. And then I'll come back up here and I'll do another sub-location. I'll put in floor 2. Oops. If I come back to floor 1, I can actually add sub-location to that. I'll put in there room 101. And so on, and then room 102 and 201 and all that. So you can pre-populate the location so people can just simply pick off a list. The reason you might want to do that is if you start tracking issues and you want people to enter in the room number or the room name, you can pre-populate it here. Otherwise, if you leave it up to people to type it in, somebody might call it, RM 101, and somebody else might type in OOM 101, 101. And somebody might simply just put in, 101. This is kind of forcing consistency if you want to track some information by the location. Now, doing this one by one is tedious. You could come over here and you can download a template, which is an Excel spreadsheet. And if I download it, you'll notice right here, download an Excel file. I will open it. And I'll just show this to you because it's a little confusing when you first look at it. But on the very first tab is where you have to enter in the information. And you do it by tiers. And Autodesk provides you an example of the different ways of doing it. Now, this way, to me, looks a little confusing. So I don't normally do it this way. But you basically list, tower, and then you've got 4th floor, and then you got the room numbers. I kind of like looking at it like this. So you have tower, and then these 2 areas have to be blank. And then when you put in a floor number, that has to be blank. And then in the next column or the next tier, this is where you list the room numbers. So you have to format this properly. And when you go to import it, if something's not formatted properly, it'll tell you. Interesting that this is fairly new, that they added this barcode. This is completely optional. You don't have to put the barcode. But the idea with the barcode is during construction, you can put a barcode on, let's say, the door frame of a room. And when you walk into that room, you can scan that barcode. And then anything you do on your iPad, you can track that information based on the room number. So you don't have to type in the room number. It picks it for you. But that's used more for construction than it is for design and collaboration. Anyways, I'll just exit out of this. And just to show you, I will import that Excel spreadsheet. Here's location template. And tell me right here, looks like there's a problem with that file. Interesting. I'll have to go, oh, I know why. I forgot. Go back and open that. So I'll go back into that template. What I forgot to do was copy this information. I'm just going to do this, Control C. You have to fill up this first tab. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I will go ahead and save this, close this up, and now I will import that. So notice that there's some duplicates here. So it's going to, I think it still imports the rest of it. We'll see. I guess not. So it looks like there's some prompts. Like I said, I've never seen that barcode before. That's fairly new. So obviously something's wrong with that. I'll have to look at it. But that's what you would do if you want to import locations. Notifications, I'll bring this up here. Notifications, if you start tracking anything with issues, emails will be sent out to people instantly. And if you want, you can change that to hourly or daily. If you do it hourly or daily, they'll receive one email that includes a list of, the multiple issues. So the rest of this stuff is more towards construction. But if you want to use issues on the design side, you can do that. And you may want to change this so people aren't receiving as many emails during the day. You do have the ability, if you want to turn off notifications altogether for certain people, you can come in here and you can pick a company or a role so that anybody at Applied Software, they won't receive any issues. So you do have the ability for that. I'll remove that for now. I'll talk about Bridge a little bit later, but for now, I want to come back to Docs. Now, it did kick me out. It brought me back here, but here's my project. And just like in the BIM 360 world, if you had a search for a project, there is a search function here. And so maybe I'll type in here 234, and immediately it found 5 projects that had 234 in the name. So this is the project I just created. If I select on it, this will look a little bit familiar to you on the doc side. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it over here. And I'm going to switch to a project. So I'm opening up a BIM 360 project, but that's taken a little while. Do this. Okay, this will work. So you probably recognize, this is what you're familiar with. You'll see the dark blue bar at the top. There's document management. There's the name of my project. When I go to the new platform, notice it's just a thin black bar. There's no big blue bar here. So there's a slight difference there with the interface. Going back to BIM 360, notice along the top, you've got folders, reviews, transmittals, issues. If I go to the new platform, instead of calling it folders, they call it files, reviews, transmittals, issues. And then you'll see a section here for reports, members, bridge, and settings. So that's a little bit different. If I go back to BIM 360, notice the 2 main folders, plans and project files. There's no longer a plans folder in the new platform. It's just project files. And I will tell you that the plans folder, I don't know why they did it, but the plans folder has been moved over into a different product called Autodesk Build, and they renamed it and call it Sheets. So plans no longer exist in this new platform. We just have project files. I think except for that, those differences, everything else is nearly identical. So, you've got your project files. You can come over here. You can create some subfolders, create multiple subfolders. You can name them whatever you want. What's really important is setting up permissions, just like in BIM 360, nearly identical. You want to set up permissions for, each folder, who has access to what. So this is nearly identical to BIM 360. I looked at one of your projects and I noticed that you had a lot of permissions that were configured for the folders, so that's good. What you may want to do is start using permissions by roles instead of by users. That'll make it a little bit easier to manage, and I'll go through that here in a bit. But for now, I think what we're looking at, and there is a project I was going to open up here, which is 213. Let's open up that one. $13,429,429. There we go. So this is one of your projects, electrical engineer. Or I've got architect, but I don't have